Welcome to the second round of the FDC. We're on board with Recycle who had set the fastest time in qualifying, but much like last round he went out again and set a second fastest time. Either of them would have been good for pole position, and put himself a clear second ahead of the rest of the field again. As usual, it was a good start for Recycle in the lime green car on pole. This time the start didn't go quite so well for the rest of the field, as there was a little bit of contact here and there. The replay doesn't really show what had happened, but we get a better view of the events from Dorian's view in second position. Heading down into turn 1, there was Hickster on the inside, diving in, showing his nose, and I think that might have been a bit rude, and slowing down the replay. Everything's going fine early on, and there's about space for 2 cars going through turn 1. Yeah, I just think that's a little bit too much of a dive for my liking, and Dorian very much forced out of the way there so that Hickster can take the position. So Hickster not wanting to give the position back, and Dorian fairly going side by side, gets clouted by Hickster despite there being room on the inside for both cars. And replaying that corner again, there's space on the inside, so I think Hickster's been a little bit too aggressive on lap 1 there, and that has caused Hickster to spin as well, which causes some problems a few seconds later for the rest of the field trying to get through. And a view from my car, all the way at the back, I was a bit distracted because I was wanting to check the ERS bug, which is supposed to be automatic, but sometimes just drains itself straight from the start. And the lights went out so quickly, I just jumped straight into second and spun the rear tyres up, so I just really messed my start up there. And you can see from my view here, a little bit of the squeezing that goes on in the pack, and I don't know how much of that was caused by Hickster, but Kaiju here, looks like he gained some positions off track. He goes on the far left there, off track, and ends up ahead of a few other cars, and as he rejoins the track he gives Coloured Lonely a bit of a squeeze on the right, so a bit of a messy first corner on this round. And as me and Kaiju went nearly side by side into the braking, I thought he was going to give me a bit of room, but squeezed me out, and a couple of cars collided there with, I think that was Hickster, sideways from his contact with Dorian. And slowed down, you can see, it's just a really messy first lap, I think. So 2 cars, I think, with front wing damage, and I just want to be careful and survive the first lap, really, But it doesn't stop there, as a dive from Iteles, don't know if I'm pronouncing that nickname correctly, but yeah, just very messy first lap indeed. So I was hoping to settle into my race at some point, but it wasn't to be, as there was just action throughout the race for me, so I had to be careful. And Kaiju there looks like he's getting a bit out of shape. I think that was just him struggling with a loss of front downforce because of his wing damage, as his collision with Hickster kind of wrecked his car. And I think that's Coloured Lonely pitting for a new front wing after his contact, and he went on to the hard tyre and just stayed on it for the rest of the race. And here we're on board with Dorian, who was fighting with Tulsa. So the fighting wasn't just constrained to the back of the field, and DRS had just been enabled for lap 3. And the battle continued into lap 4, as Dorian was still trying to get past, and went into the braking zone on the inside. And this was Tulsa's first race in the league, so he's done well getting himself upright at the top there. And from what I've seen, he's very clean as well, so I'm happy with that, as we had some incidents in this race that weren't as clean as I'd like. And Dorian going into turn 10 just gets a little bit out of shape, which gives Tulsa the opportunity to get his car ahead. And this is how the racing should have been going, I think. Both drivers being clean, giving each other space, being very calculated with their moves, not diving in, but just properly getting alongside. So they were kind of stuck with each other for quite a while, and this was before either of them had even done a pit stop. But yeah, I was impressed with how clean they were, just going into so many corners side by side and managing to give each other room just every time, no matter where they were on track. And because there are no full race replays in F1 2019, we have to rely on just whoever gets recordings of their battles. So thanks to Dorian for getting this recording up so I could use it. I might not use such a long amount of replays in future, as it makes the video quite long, and it takes a while to edit if I'm including every battle that happened in the race. But yeah, this was certainly an action-packed one, and I think that was Dorian finally managing to get ahead and stay ahead. So back to my race. Itelas had a slightly faster pace than me, but I was consistent enough to catch up to him, and then had an opportunity to look for an overtake, so moved over to the inside. But just as I was doing that, he also went defensive on the inside, and I had to back out because I think his move was a bit late, and I think he recognised that his move was a bit late and then gave the position over. I think if a car gets too close to you, then you can't really make a defensive move, because they just need a moment to be able to react, and if they're too close, then they just don't have that opportunity to react, and that's when things can get a bit dangerous. So I started thinking about maybe pitting instead of keeping the fight going. But this was definitely going to be a battle because, as I said, he's got a little bit more pace on me. And there he goes, sticking his car ahead. But I kept with him, and he had a bit of a bad exit on the last corner leading into lap 5, so it gave me the opportunity to go to mix 3 and get the DRS on. Gives me a little bit of a squeeze. But again, another DRS zone, another opportunity. And I went a little bit deeper this time, and then he had the cut back on me, so still couldn't get him. Yeah, and his car was just managed to go a bit faster than mine, and this corner here I just couldn't get this done with the setup I was on. I think I kind of sabotaged my own car, and there was just no point in battling that hard for that long. I think it was time to just cut it short, have a pit stop, get the fresh tyres on. I think I kind of ruined my rears on the start, and here I just shot straight off the first corner because I was expecting the autopilot to be on the pit exit for a bit longer. Some tracks it is, some tracks it's not, and yeah, it just caught me out. And Coloured Only was right behind me on his harder tyres. And I'm just trusting that little red arrow showing me where his car is. And yeah, he was trying to safely get through. And he was going to be on this tyre for the rest of the race. Just because I think having a pit stop in the middle of the race for him wouldn't have made sense. And we had Itelas as well, just behind. So yeah, Coloured Only gets through cleanly, and now I've got Itelas to defend against. And there I am again with the corner. It's just that one corner that just kept catching me out. I was using a pretty wild setup, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. And a bit of an optimistic dive by Itelas. But Coloured Only, with the faster pace than me, was consistent and built a gap ahead. So Coloured Lonely did well with his early pit stop race to fix his front wing, and he was on a bad setup as well, he said after the race, so well done to him. And I was getting DRS thanks to him, so I helped my fight a little bit against Italas. But then Italas gave me a pretty solid bump and took the position and didn't give it back, which I thought was a bit rude. So it's not really a corner you can just stick your nose in and hope that the other driver backs out. But as usual, I stayed consistent, and that paid off because Italas got sideways, so that gave me the position. And right at the end I had Hickster looking to catch me, and he'd been catching up slowly and caught me right at the end, and then my car went a little bit sideways in the last corner, and I thought I'd just gone on the brakes a little bit too hard, but it turned out Hickster did give me a tiny little tap at the end. And there was a replay from Recycle Fin spectating us, and it looked like from that view it was just a little tap, and I replayed it from mine, and I did gain a couple of miles per hour right in the middle of the corner, so I think there was a little bit of contact there, but no harm done. So another good qualifying session from Recycle Fin. My qualifying session was a bit better than last time, but I was still just down the pack, but not as far off as I was before. So a straightforward win from pole for Recycle Fin. One Dorian with a solid drive with a lot of battles in it in second. Tulsa, I think, a well-deserved third. Coloured Lonely recovered well after his front wing damage in fourth on the hard tyres for much of the race. Yours truly in fifth. Hickster in sixth. Italas in seventh. Koju in eighth. And Alien Outlaw in ninth position with a terminal crash on lap 2. So Recycle Fin jumping up into first position on the standings with only 2 points separating him and the next 3 drivers. Round 2 wasn't as clean of a race as I'd like, so I messaged a few of the drivers about racing standards. So hopefully round 3 will be a bit cleaner, and we'll see you then.